A winery worth $15,000 magically transforms into a $5 million empire in just 12 months. No wine produced, no phones answered, no social media activity, yet somehow Ilhan Omar's financial disclosures show this ghost business multiplied in value by over 300 times. This is not business success. This looks like something much, much darker. If elected officials can launder money through fake businesses and report phantom assets worth millions, what does it mean for you? It means your tax dollars could be funding corruption while you struggle with inflation and rising costs. When politicians get rich off mysterious business dealings, it destroys trust in our entire system. But here's the real kicker. If they're this bold about hiding assets in plain sight on official disclosures, imagine what they're hiding, what we can't see. This pattern isn't isolated to one person. Keith Ellison streamlined money transfers to Somalia while encouraging maximum financial support. We're looking at a potential network of financial manipulation that could reach right into your community, your elections, and your future. And when fraud reaches into the billions and political elites start lawyering up, you realize the system protects its own, but you can protect yourself. You ever see something and instantly know it's going to turn heads? That is what happened when I saw these Trump Never Surrender gold sneakers, gold finish, red, white, and blue details. Never surrender right on the shoe. These aren't subtle, and they're not supposed to be lightweight, solid build, and made to be worn. The message matters. Never surrender isn't just branding. It's an attitude. Limited run, numbered pairs. Once they're gone, they're gone. Go to themagaoffers.com/NNN or call 855-550-MAGA. Use promo code NNN for even bigger savings. Don't wait. Grab your pair and make a statement. But it gets worse. The same winery that supposedly exploded in value has no working website, no phone line, no social media accounts, completely dark. Meanwhile, we've got Keith Ellison on Somali television encouraging people to send maximum money overseas through streamlined processes that he personally authored. The connections are starting to form a very disturbing picture of coordinated financial manipulation. Here we have Rapid Response 47, the president talking about rooting out the fraud. Check this out.
So in Minnesota, they think it's $19 billion. If they think it's $19 billion, triple it or quadruple it. And if we catch a lot of this fraud, and I felt it for a long time, but now we know what's happening. And the answer is, yeah, there will be accountability. It's one of the little problems. You know, I happen to think, and I've said it from the beginning, that a lot of what's going on with respect to Minneapolis, you know, with what's happening with all the hoopla, is so people don't talk about.
You think it's
fraud.
A distraction?
I've said it from day one. It's a distraction because what you don't see is that we have hundreds of accountants from Todd and from all of the different people. We have hundreds of accountants going over everything that's happening, and we're finding fraud on top of fraud on top of fraud. And I think that they don't want that to happen. You're talking about $19 billion. Probably that's a minimal number. Now, you take that and you go to California. You think California is better? I would say California is worse. It's totally out of control. They don't know what they're doing out there.
Of course they don't know what they're doing, but I think they do know very well what they're doing because it's all systematic, institutionalized fraud. Now, Trump's aggressive stance on Minnesota sets up the broader defense against a critic whose claim he's backed down from his promises. Listen to this.
He has posted that you have retreated in Minnesota, Governor Gavin Newsom, and he is encouraging people to keep the pressure up.
See, I haven't heard that at all because it's just the opposite. I was called by the governor yesterday. I was called by the mayor yesterday. How do we do something? Please, how do we do something? I think it's bad for them. I don't think it's bad for us. I think it's bad for them.
Yeah, you'll have to see what Governor
But it's not
Newsom
a question
posted.
of retreat. We want safe cities. Yeah. Whether it's if we took a lot of the crime out of there. We want safe cities and states. We want a safe country. And again, we just got a report done by Democrats that the country is the safest ever recorded right now.
Amen. It's because President Trump is following through. Trump's defiant response to retreat accusations transitions into the specific examples of who's actually being investigated for fraud. Ilhan Omar, probed by the Biden administration in 2024. That's wild. Let's check out this Fox News hit.
President Trump saying the Justice Department is now investigating the finances of far-left Congresswoman Ilhan Omar out of Minnesota. But that scrutiny reportedly extending to the Biden administration as well. Interesting twist here. Chad Pergram looks at the timeline and more. Chad, good morning.
Bill, good morning. This is not just a Trump administration probe into Omar. This inquiry apparently started during the Biden years in 2024. The investigation centers around campaign spending. Now, the U.S. Attorney's Office in D.C. initiated the inquiry. President Trump posted on Truth Social that the DOJ is, quote, looking at Omar. He claims she left Somalia with nothing and is now worth, quote, $44 million. The president ripped Omar last week.
And then we have this fake congressperson who they just reported is worth $30 million. You believe this? Ilhan Omar, talking about the Constitution provides me. She comes from a country that's not a country, and she's telling us how to run America. Not going to get away with it much longer, let me tell you.
It's unclear how President Trump landed on the dollar figures. Other members from Minnesota have raised questions about Omar.
I don't know what she's doing, but I suspect that it's not legal. Who knows? You don't see that kind of change. I mean, she reported on her disclosures around here about a $65,000 net worth just a couple of years back. So Jamie Comer and the Oversight Committee are investigating this and looking into this, and this needs to be exposed.
Now, James Comer questions how Omar's husband built his wealth. He wants an investigation. Omar says she did nothing wrong.
Of course, she's going to say that. Oh, she's freaking out. The panic is setting in. Omar's DOJ probe opens the door to examining how healthcare fraud operates in Democrat strongholds like L.A. County. They become an epicenter for healthcare fraud in America. Criminals have corrupted the system so much that the fraud is now almost expected. Trump has made it clear we will not tolerate the patient harm or taxpayer-funded theft any longer.
So you can see these are medical buildings.
This is Dr. Oz on the ground in L.A. County, California.
Cyrillic writing, Russian, Armenian writing. Both sides, there's lots of action, it seems. I don't know how many patients are getting care, but in this 4-block area in Los Angeles, there are 42 hospices. So either there are a lot of people dying here, or you've got a fraudulent activity that is so good that everyone wants to get in on it. I'm in Van Nuys in Los Angeles, and this boarded up area above my head here is a big hospice center. There are apparently quite a few hospices around here, 42 within a 4-block radius. And these guys stole $16 million. Listen carefully. The main guy went to jail for 2 years, for stealing $16 million, which is a good trade-off for a lot of folks. And if you look at it, it's pretty indescript. There wasn't anyone really in there. They weren't doing any services. They just got an address they could claim was a hospice. And then they ran the business, claiming people were at home getting services, which they really weren't. What we have learned is there's roughly $3.5 billion of fraud taking place here in Los Angeles in hospice and home care. It's run quite a bit of it by the Russian Armenian mafia. You notice the lettering and language behind me is of that dialect. And it also highlights the fact that this is an organized crime, mafia deal where you've got folks who have systemically recruited doctors to write false prescriptions, hundreds of doctors participating. Wow. They've got 100,000 patients who they've tricked or paid to give them their beneficiary numbers so they can perpetuate the fraud. And then the criminals are just running the whole organization and quickly scurrying away when law enforcement does get around to prosecuting them. Unfortunately, in California, there has not been a lot of attention on these problems. That's going to change. The U.S. Attorney, the FBI, everyone's now focused on the fact that in this state, which has about $30 billion worth of home and community-based services, most of it might be fraudulent. Those are big numbers, and we're taking it seriously. The president's not going to tolerate this anymore.
Party's over. Dr. Oz's L.A. healthcare fraud revelation connects to broader concerns about how deep the corruption runs in government. Rob Whiten, scary. The terrorists have infiltrated our government that high and this much. He was posting this video
We've talked extensively about Keith Ellison and his role in this fraud scandal. But the reality is, Keith Ellison's role in fraud, particularly working with the Somali community, goes back much further than this. So today we're going to talk a tiny bit more about Keith Ellison's origin story. Keith Ellison served in Congress for a little over a decade, but is only known for passing one bill. And here he is talking about that issue.
Well, first of all, let me say Salam Alaikum, Ilyas. It's good to be here with you with the Mogadishu Times. The discussion focused on how we can keep money flowing to Somalia.
As Ellison just said there, his priority of the one bill that he passed during his time in Congress was about how he could get more money flowing to Somalia. And this was with the Mogadishu Times. Now, they had talked about the fact that some banks were getting skittish over those remittances, which is how people in the United States send money to other countries, in a lot of cases, developing countries, to family members back home and things like that. And Ellison explains why they were skittish.
Worried that they could end up being prosecuted on a criminal basis or having the regulations come on them, because recently a lady named Amina Ali was convicted of gathering money for Al-Shabaab and then using a service to transmit that money.
Now, he mentions there a woman named Amina Ali who was arrested. Now, you may be asking, why was she arrested? She was arrested for sending material support to Al-Shabaab, the terror network. So as banks were getting nervous about remittances because they were tied to funding terrorism, Keith Ellison passed a bill to make it easier for these banks to get around federal oversight for those remittances. So he has been involved in trying to get more money into the Somali community and then back to Somalia his entire professional life.
Keith Ellison, man, your days are numbered too. This dearest terror about government infiltration bridges us to the historical context of the Somali community's political involvement. Kayleigh McEnany, my team at Sat America, FNC, and Fox News monitor Somali television programming. We unearthed new sound from then Congressman, now Attorney General Keith Ellison, and then City Council candidate, now Mayor Jacob Frey. Check this out.
The Saturday in America team just uncovered new sound. We've been monitoring Somali TV. Our producer, Jay Kazim, back in 2014, then Congressman Ellison authored the Money Remittances Improvement Act, which streamlined the process for immigrants to send money overseas. And Ellison said that the goal was to keep the money flowing to Somalia.
Many banks have been dropping out of helping to do the transaction between the United States and Somalia. So I wanted to work on the Somali side of the equation to try to see what we could do to make sure that we move those transactions along.
Now, that's never been seen footage here on Fox News. And in that same interview, then Congressman Keith Ellison encouraged people to help Somalia any way they could.
Somalia needs everything. So whatever you can do, come do it. If you are good at music and art, write a song about Somalia. If you're good at writing newspaper articles, tell people about it. If you're good at internet stuff, help build the network and build the bandwidth of Somalia. If you're good at construction, build a building, come build a road. And if you can't do any of those things, give money to people who can do it. But do something.
And he's now the Attorney General of Minnesota here in the United States. We also unearthed an old interview of then City Council candidate Jacob Frey saying government officials need to help the Somali community thrive.
We're doing some phenomenal work with the Somali community right now, and we'd like to continue that. This is a community that is thriving, that's on the verge of absolutely amazing things, and we need to make sure we have government officials that are helping them along to make sure that not just they thrive, but the rest of our city thrives as well.
We asked both Ellison and Frey for comment, and we invited them to join us here on the show, and neither of them answered. But we are bringing those interviews to light for the very first time.
It all becomes clear. Kelly's investigation into Somali political connections sets up the bombshell financial evidence about Omar's suspicious business dealings. Benny Johnson exposing Ilhan Omar's winery is fake. Wall Street Apes reports in just 1 year, the winery increased in value by $5 million with no physical winery, website that barely works, no phone link, social media gone dark, and most importantly, no wine at all.
I just investigated Ilhan Omar's official financial disclosures, and what I found was so dark and criminal. I don't know how she gets out of this without going to jail. Have a look at this. Here's Ilhan Omar's financial disclosure from the congressional record, year 2023. I want to bring your attention to this company right down here, Est Cru LLC. This is a winery in Santa Rosa, California. It's not doing that well. The total value of the winery is listed at $15,000, and Ilhan Omar's barely making any money off of it at all. Hardly enough to pay a parking ticket. Okay, that's fine. Nothing really mysterious there. Businesses fail all the time. But go ahead and look at her filing for 2024, and you'll find that Est Cru Winery, the same company in the same location, is now worth $5 million. That's incredible, up from $15,000. And now Ilhan Omar's making enough to pay rent. So this must be one of the most successful companies ever. Let's go ahead and check in on this winery. You know, maybe we could buy some wine. I like wine. Why not? Let's see if we can buy some Est Cru Winery. Here's Est Cru's social media Facebook page. You'll see here that the last post, oh no, was in 2023. Wasn't this the year that they were supposed to, go really big and make Ilhan Omar millions of dollars? Same thing on their Instagram, and they don't have an X. So let's go ahead and check their official website. What is Est Cru? We are winemakers and memory curators, okay? Est Cru Winery has a bunch of brands that's led by these people, creators of eye-catching labels. So I'm sure I can go and get some of their wine, right? Well, they don't have any activities here, so maybe I could just go to their location and buy some of their wines, or maybe give them a call. Let's try and go to their location here. This is the Google Street View of Est Cru Winery, and what you'll find here is an empty parking lot. Doesn't actually look like an operational business. Certainly isn't the same name. So, okay, let's go ahead and give them a call. See if maybe they pick up. Let's go ahead and call the number on the webpage.
Let's go ahead and give them a call and find out. Wow. Oh no, user busy. Let's try that. Okay. Well, I've done this like 20 times today.
Okay, so that didn't work. Is there any wine in this wine company?
Ilhan
is there anything
Omar
about wine?
is
'Cause I see, like,
screwed.
stuff about events, but like, what is this exactly? Aren't you supposed to sell wine at your wine company? Where are your wines? Oh, there are no wines. You want to know why? Because this is a fake company. Rep. Ilhan Omar's husband accused of swindling investors in their California winery. They stole millions from cannabis growers. You can see here's the lawsuit right here, saying that Tim Minette, who's Ilhan Omar's third husband, no relation, swindled his investors and defrauded them. How did Minette get this relationship? Well, the current Attorney General of Minnesota, Keith Ellison, used to work for him. Isn't that curious? Keith Ellison, the same guy who refuses to look into any of the Somali fraud. So this company was sued for being a fraudulent company. And the New York Post says the exact same thing, as the House is now probing the mystery of Ilhan Omar's skyrocketing wealth. They said that Ilhan Omar went from being one of the poorest members of Congress, worth negative $65,000, to being one of the richest, worth $30 million. Here's a rare photo of one of their wines that they allegedly made, The Devil's Lie. But the entire company is actually a lie. It's not a lie to Ilhan Omar, though, because she's able to list an enormous amount of her income and an enormous amount of her net worth to this fake winery. This winery is not worth $5 million. The winery doesn't even exist. It's fake. It's fraudulent. They need to investigate this right now. This is a lie. And maybe, it's the devil's lie.
Well done, Benny. Well done. Oh, Ilhan Omar is screwed. I mean, from marrying her brother to her husband's massive wealth in his firm to this, I mean, pick your crime. The Omar Winery expose perfectly sets up the bigger picture of Doge's promise that much more explosive fraud is coming. Doge chairman says people are about to be real uncomfortable with their new findings in waste, fraud, and abuse coming soon. Tim Burchett, what does he have to say? I promise you this. I will expose it to you. I'm going to go straight public, and then we'll see what happens. So here is the smoking gun. You cannot increase a business value by 33,000% without any business activity whatsoever. All right, no wine sales, no operations, no communication. This is not a successful business transformation. This is asset laundering hidden in plain sight on congressional financial disclosures, betting that nobody would actually investigate. This is exactly why we need Doge investigations and representatives like Tim Burchett, who promise to expose everything directly to the public. And politicians can report magical business transformations worth millions while producing absolutely nothing. Our entire system becomes a joke. These aren't isolated incidents. They're part of a pattern that stretches from Minnesota to Somalia, involving streamlined money transfers and phantom assets. The question isn't whether this looks suspicious. The question is whether we're going to demand real investigations or just let it slide like everything else. Do you think Ilhan Omar should have to explain how a non-existent winery became worth $5 million overnight? Check out the Next News merch shop and let me know what you think about these magical business transformations that seem to only benefit certain politicians.
The system controls information. Information control is power.
They don't want you to see this.
The truth only survives together. They don't want this shared. Share this now.